Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic and Metalholic Radio, and with us tonight, the lovely, the talented, the voice, Leather Leone. Of course, of Sledge
Wow,
Leather.
thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Sledge Leather, obviously we have that now, that thankfully after all these years, and of course, new Chastain, which I want to talk about. How have you been?
I've been great. I mean, how can you be bad? I'm having the opportunity to make music again, and it's all good.
Well, you know, it was funny when I was sitting down to jot down some questions about this. I thought, you know, our paths have been slightly similar. We're both from the Bay Area music scene and everything. Originally for me anyway. I'm not there anymore, but I sort of dropped out of the whole music scene right as sort of when grunge hit. I was so disenchanted with
and what was it, like 92, 93?
Yeah, right around then. And you know, being in the Bay Area then, I used to, as a matter of fact, I was the editor for that local magazine, The Informant, back then.
Oh, okay.
You know, and the whole scene was dying. The Omni was dying, the Stone was dying, grunge was killing
it's
everything.
So sad.
Yeah, and I just sort of dropped out of the whole scene, and that's sort of what you did too. And then in the late
I'm here. Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, in the late aughts, we both sort of resurfaced, and here we are. So, but what? I mean, if you're willing to share, what was your sort of non-music life like in those interim years?
God, what was? I got into animals. I still do a lot of pit bull rescue.
Nice.
You know, I live the California lifestyle. I drive my Camaro. I kind of stopped listening to music and going to shows because I was so frustrated. I just did the pit bull thing.
Nice. How did you get involved with pit bulls and whatnot?
Because I actually had found one across the street one day from where I was working, and I just grew to love the breed, and it's a huge lifestyle rescuing them. I mean, they're everywhere, and they're the underdog like metal musicians, so like I said, I just fell in love with the breed, and I just started accumulating them, and it's pretty easy to do out here.
Nice. Well, and you've got to be, like a pit bull, you've got to be tenacious in the music industry. So.
Yeah. You know, the Stone in San Francisco is now a strip joint. The Stone in San Jose, I think, is a lumber, like a Goodman's. It's so sad.
Yeah, all the great places were gone and going, and it was just so sad to watch. And I literally moved out of the Bay Area. I couldn't do the music stuff anymore. But you know, it all brings you back around, and the music's coming back around. The stuff that we grew up listening to and loved, the stuff that you performed and played, and all the bands you performed with. There's sort of a renaissance going on. And Chastain, it was at the forefront of, especially in the Bay Area music scene, you know, with all the great, you know, Mike Varney and all the Shrapnel bands and all that great stuff going on. And, of course, our good friend Jeff Thorpe from Vicious Rumors, they never went anywhere. They just kept plugging along. So,
you know, it's amazing. I talk to Larry all the time, and, you know, I played with them in Germany. I mean, they just keep going, and he's been doing it for so long. I mean, dude, they play all those huge festivals in Europe. They're on all of them. They're on the 7,000 tons of metal. They're leaving next week. I mean, they are everywhere.
They are, and they're cranking out great tunes, and people are hearing it again now here in America, obviously, and we'll talk about this in a bit, but in Europe it's never stopped. But when you came back here, I mean, you were down in L.A. for a while. I guess you reconnected a few years ago with Sandy Sledge from the Rude Girl years. Tell us a bit about Sledge Leather, you know, sort of how that came together, and do you see anything more happening with that down the road?
You know, when you are not on a major, you kind of just take things as they happen. That was a project we did on our own. It was, you know, we got together through the loss of Ronnie, and we just started talking, and I kind of had a moment where I'm like, how can I not be singing any longer with the voice that I was given and the people that have stuck by me? So I started going to studios again because I hadn't been singing for a long time. So that came about just by us hanging out and writing. And, you know, I was blessed to have Scott Warren and Jimmy Bain on board, so it was just this huge musical amazement party for me. And I think it was a pretty good record. I got to go to Germany and play some shows in Germany and Switzerland with Vicious Rumors. I played the House of Blues with that record. And then through all that, I just hooked up with Chastain again, and, you know, here I am. Funny how life does in one big circle.
Right, right, absolutely. And the new Chastain album, Surrender to No One, I love the record. Great, great record.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
You sound phenomenal on it. Powerful songs. Tell us about the new album from your perspective.
My perspective, I think there are a lot of moments on it. I would like to redo it vocally. I mean, I don't know. I think, as I always say, every artist will tell you, I don't know whoever completes a project and say, yeah, that was right on. It's okay. And again, when I complete something, I don't really listen to it.
Right.
I had my relationship with it, and I put it away. Vocally, I tried to, or I did. I sang it a lot dirtier and more desperate sounding. I didn't really like the sound, the vocal quality sound and Voice of the Culture, for those who dare. It started getting way too clean and arena rock sounding. And so, I don't know. That's a hard question. I think it's okay. I'm glad that people are liking it, but I put it away.
Well, and sort of the A-type personality there, you're your own worst critic. You've been away from it for a while, so I'm sure you got to feel you're a little rusty with the vocals and everything. So you're going to go back and hear it and go, I could have done this differently, or I could have done this better. And maybe a few years from now, with a little more perspective, you might appreciate it a little bit more. But the fans. Yeah,
like I said, I did. My voice has dropped a lot, which I really like. I used to try to sing in these keys back in the day, and I couldn't. And I go back and listen to myself, the old Chastain records, and oh my God, that girly, trilly sound. So the vocal quality I'm really, really pleased with. But yeah, I mean, it's, you want to do everything over again.
Well, and again, from your perspective, how do you feel, aside from your vocal nuance changes there, how do you feel the new material contrasts to the classic Chastain material?
I think it's a pretty close to a natural progression. I mean, we open the record with Stand and Fight, and, Freedom Within. I mean, that is just classic Chastain with the vocal melodies and the guitars. And then I think we did accomplish then moving forward. I mean, Stan, the drummer, I think brought us really up to a modern edge. And we wrote a lot of songs, so a lot of the songs that are not on this record are songs that I would have rather had on this record. So, again, it's really hard to be objective, but I think it's a pretty natural progression.
Yeah, there's definitely a modern touch to it comparative to the way it sounded before, and I think the drums too. You've got a new drum on the drums.
And thank God all that bullshit production of those days is gone. The reverb and the wind tunnel and the oh God. Like I said to Chastain, I want to do this record bare. I don't want to do harmonies. I don't want to do layering. I just wanted it like me singing in a bar, with a bunch of smoke and the people drinking on the corners. And so, yeah, it certainly sounds modern in that aspect.
But you know what? So much recording is done online and by computer these days. The band is seldom in the same place. Was that sort of surreal?
I know, I missed that.
Yeah, was that sort of surreal for you? And do you feel it sort of erodes the organic nature of creating music?
Well, yeah, but it's been like that with Chastain forever. We've never been in the same place. We've always used bands from every corner of the country. I think we did Mystery of Illusion and Ruler of the Wasteland back in the day when you would all hang out in the studio. But no, it's never. That's what we do. I fly somewhere and sit in the studio for a few days with Chastain. The drummer, sends his stuff. I mean, those days are over. And as far as being a vocalist, I always need to be produced. So, I've always just worked with David. That works fine for me. I work with the development of the music, and then I hear the finished product. Sledge Leather in that aspect was a lot different because I was just hanging out with Sandy. We were basically just sitting in her living room with the guitar player, doing it more organically, which I do miss. But again, Chastain has always been recording from afar, as I call it.
Right. Well, what was it like for you to be writing new music again and shaking the rust off the pipes, so to speak?
It was great. It really took me a while, again, to talk myself into it to see if I could pull it off. And the Sledge Leather thing kind of was a little easier. Like I said, it was more organic, and the material vocally wasn't that challenging for me. But when you work with Chastain, the keys are different, and the he demands a lot more, and so it took me 2 to 3 months to really get into the Chastain thing. But I did really enjoy it. I have a love-hate relationship with the studio, but once I get in there, I'm there, dude. So it was all good.
Right, and I mean, it's weird. People think you set the guitar down for a number of years. Obviously, you're going to get a little bit rusty. Your chops
Sure.
aren't going to be as sharp. People seem to think when it comes to vocalists, you just go into the room and you start singing. It never changes. But as a vocalist, it's the same thing as practicing the guitar every day or the drums or any other instrument. So
people have no idea. And again, I had been, we just did that record, so I had been singing like a year and a half prior due to the Sledge Leather thing.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. I mean, I started running again. I started working out vocally because, dude, I had stopped singing. So, and I was pretty blessed. I mean, of course, you do have muscle memory, but yeah, you had to kick those vocal cords back into shape. Yeah.
Absolutely, and you sound great on the album. As a matter of fact, if I had one critique of the album, it was that I think the vocals were buried a little bit. It was like, normally the vocals pop more than anything else, and it seemed like they were buried just a little bit, and I would have liked to have heard them more.
Yeah, Chastain and I have been discussing that too. In the mix when the drums got thrown on it. Yeah, I don't know, and sometimes I think the vocals are too loud, which is really unusual for me because I was always bitching back in the Chastain days. I can't hear myself. But yeah, I think I think the sound got muddy a little bit here and there, but that's metal, man.
There you go. And it's all about hearing it live anyway. So, and
yeah, which I'm working on that. Yeah.
Are there one or two tracks on the new record? Because I know you love them all, but are there one or two tracks on the new record that stand out for you personally in some special way?
Yeah, I Am Sin, which those were lyrics that I had laying around for a couple of years, and God, I really wanted to use them, and it didn't work out for Sledge Leather, and it was, and then when Chastain presented me with that piece of music, I'm like, I got it. And also Evil Awaits has become a real favorite of mine. And it's funny because a lot of the thrash guys that I know, like, I know the guys from Dark Angel and some of the Anthrax people, and that's the song that they're all gravitating to is Evil Awaits, which I find interesting. But I think that's a really great metal song. It's become one of my favorites.
It is. It's one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we've got it in rotation already on
cool. Thank
Radio.
You.
So, I know Dave is a bit hesitant to get back out on the touring circuit. Not that he was ever big on touring to begin with, but
oh, you know him, yeah.
In lieu of that, will we at least see a video or two from the new record? I know it's difficult in this industry.
Well, we just did a God, what do you call them? A lyrical one. We did one of those, and we have been talking about it. And again, since we all live in different places, we're just talking about shooting stuff and putting it all together.
Right.
Yeah, we will, because I think the record's doing really well. And we are getting a lot of offers, which at least is a good thing that promoters are still interested in us. What we're going to do, I have no answers to that yet. But, oh, yeah, you'll see. I think this record's, we're going to really push this thing because people are really gravitating toward it.
So this month we released, as we do every year, our top 25 women in hard rock and metal list, and you were on it. And when you,
I saw that. Thank you. Me and Veronica, yeah.
Yeah, you and Veronica are both on it. When you broke into the scene, there weren't even 25 women in the genre to choose from.
No. No, and there was no social media. We didn't know about each other. Who was it? I think about this all the time. It was me, Doro, Debbie Gunn, probably Dawn from Détente, Anne Boyleen, and that was it, right? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. There was Betsy Bitch, of course, who got signed before all of us in '82. Yeah. There was nobody.
There were so few, and now there's hundreds, and it's phenomenal to see. Not just vocalists, guitarists, bass players, drummers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Do you feel any sense of satisfaction knowing you were one of the people that young women were inspired by and aspired to be like?
Yeah, if any of that's true, I certainly do. I don't think about it that way, but then when I talk to someone like you, yeah, I mean, absolutely, because when I was on the road with Chastain, they were out there. They were in the bands opening for us, but they were the shy ones in the corner, and nobody was paying any attention to them. They were out there. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Someone said to me the other day, what does it feel like to be a grandmother of, power metal? And I'm like, really, dude? You have to call me that? But I get what he's saying. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If I inspired anyone of any gender to pick up a microphone and try to sing, I'm in. Yeah, right on.
Absolutely. Are there any female metal performers out there now that particularly, that you really get into, that you've really noticed and said, she's phenomenal?
Yeah, actually two of them. One who's Veronica Freeman from Benedictum, who has actually become a friend of mine, and I've actually been working with her musically. She kicks major butt. I mean, this girl, I was in the studio with her. I went back and redid all my Chastain vocals. I mean, she's phenomenal. And also, I think her name is Shemaya Otep, the girl from Otep.
Mm-hmm. Otep Shemaya.
Oh my God. And I think this was her last record with them, I heard. But I heard her 2 or 3 years ago in the middle of the night. I was in front of my television when they played all these wild videos at like 3 in the morning. And I was like, and I wasn't necessarily a fan of those type of Cookie Monster vocals that she was doing in the beginning. Oh my God. Yeah, she blows my mind.
And speaking of Veronica, the V, I thought at one point, weren't you supposed to do something on the new Benedictum album, Obey?
No, not Obey. I'm on the solo record that hasn't come out yet. It's coming out this year.
Right. Nice. Okay, so you'll be on the V, the solo album that's coming out.
And her and I actually are going to be down at the Whiskey on the 22nd, where we were invited to do one of the NAMM jams. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, V, I think you're going to see a bit of Veronica and I together in the future. I'm really excited.
Nice. Well, she's a phenomenal person, phenomenal vocalist, and you guys, I'm not going to say your vocals are the same, but you have sort of that same style.
Well, Rusty, it's funny that you say that, because somebody 2 or 3 years ago, when I started getting back into this, I think it was Mark from Rock Over America, said, there's this girl, oh my God, she sounds just like you. So he actually gave me her phone number, and I called her up one night at a party. It was just so funny. She's like, this isn't you. But whatever, I'm like, she doesn't really sound like me. I mean, she's a metal singer. She sounds nothing like me. I don't sound like her. But when we were doing our material together, we were in the studio editing it, and I was going, oh, wait, oh, no, that's you? No, I mean, I couldn't tell us apart most of the time. So I was going, God damn, they were right, yeah.
But at least on stage, visually, we'll be able to tell you guys are so distinctly different in the way you look. So.
Oh, my God, I know. I mean, she's going to be the huge boobed Amazon, and I'm going to be the little short steel-toed tomboy. It's going to be fun, yeah.
Oh, man. So for you, what are the differences that you see in music between your early years and now?
Well, I thought there were a lot of bands then. There's so many bands. Anybody can make a record. It's unbelievable. How do you stand out? How do you get out there? How do you get promoters interested? It's quite frustrating in that aspect, I think. But then again, you have social media, where I can talk to somebody in Slovenia. I mean, Sledge Leather. We sell records all over Croatia. I didn't even know where Croatia was.
Right.
So the connection is beautiful in that way, but there's so many of us. Right. The club has really grown.
Technology has been both a blessing and a curse in that way as far as music goes. So, and there's a lot of, we said this earlier, a lot of classic bands from the 80s era have resurfaced the last several years. But given the nature of the industry these days, what sort of a future do you see for yourself and Chastain at this point in your career?
I don't know. At this point, it's funny, I use that word career loosely. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do when I hang up the phone from you. I know that I have opportunities, but, I'm really going to pick and choose them. I would certainly say that I'm not going to go away for another 23 years because I'll probably be dead. So we will see. I really want to get out there. I need to tour. I need to play shows. I don't know exactly what avenue is going to lead me there, but that's my goal.
Nice. And of course, we sort of alluded to this earlier. Metal has remained alive and well in Europe this entire time, thanks to those guys.
I want to get back there so badly, I can't tell you. And I haven't found a lot of talk is going on, but Chastain certainly doesn't want to leave the country. But I will see what's going on.
Yeah, because, I mean, they actually pay over there. It'd be lovely to see you guys over there doing maybe a tour with Vicious Rumors or something like that. So
that would be great. I had so much fun over there. Those people were crazy. I mean, in a good way. I mean, I hadn't played a show in, like 20 years, and the Sledge Leather Band started playing Rule of the Wasteland, I think we opened with, and I was backstage just going, oh my God. I just, panicked for one moment, which I don't usually do, and I walked out there, and there were 3,700 crazy, they were just singing every Chastain song. I mean, you're talking people from, 17 to 60. I mean, it was such a great experience. Yeah, they're really hungry over there for metal. They don't let it go.
Absolutely, and that's a wonderful thing. So, a couple quick questions before we get out of here. What is your craziest memory from those early years?
My craziest memory is New Year's Eve, 1989, Dayton Harrow Arena, Chastain and Kiss. We had met Kiss, and they had given me, and not that it was crazy at all, but I just always remember this, really specific instructions Paul Stanley was giving to me. He had a stage set up, and he had these runners that went out and over the crowd, and he gave me, again, extreme specific than what I was not supposed to do. Well, there's a little leather. I walked out on that stage to 18,000 Chastain fans, because, that was our area. Besides the fact that I was, bawling at this, I couldn't even sing. I was going, I knew you'd be here. So, needless to say, as we did our set, I ran through the blockades and went everywhere, and obviously somebody told him. So he had come around, and I'll never forget, he was on stage left, and he was looking at me. I mean, I thought he was going to throw his hairdryer at me. He was so pissed off. And then, of course, Gene Simmons is next to him laughing. So, I mean, I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? You do this every night. It was the first Coliseum I had ever played, so it was really, everybody was laughing except he was really upset.
Oh, that's too bad.
I was like, you're the rock star. Shut up.
I would have thought Paul would have been a bigger man than that, but all right. So
yeah.
Our pointless question of the week. What is the one book you've read that sticks in your mind or is special for you?
Oh, it's a book of poetry called Satan Sleeps with the Holy. I think it's called. God, I have it right here. Yeah, it's by a woman named Carolyn Kleefeld, and it's just a bunch of poetry that she did that kind of leans, on the aspects of good and evil. But, yeah, check it out. It's called Satan Sleeps with the Holy.
Nice. Leather, Leone, Chastain, Sledge Leather, of course, and any other project you might get your meaty throat into, hopefully, and we'll get to see you out on the road. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. It's an honor. And I hope you can stay out there a lot longer and get out there on the road in some form or fashion.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Metal up to everyone, and I appreciate all your support. Take care.